LimbsNThings.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pull Up with Limbs and Things. My name is Dr. Chanel James, and I'm the owner of Limbs and Things mobile physical therapy practice. Tonight's Pull Up with Limbs and Things is about devices and modifications and a solution. We have tonight Miss Jamie Bassett. She is a fellow physical therapist, but she also works with Freedom Mobility Solutions. And we are talking tonight all about devices and modifications to your home. But there are a lot of times when people get devices, they may pass away, they may no longer need them for whatever reason. And then where does it go? Who can take it back? Do you have any options for that? So tonight we're talking a little bit about that, but also if you are in your home and you need modifications to it so that you can remain aging in place well, then Freedom Mobility may have solutions for you. Welcome, Jamie. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you. We met, though, let's see. I think it was 2021 at an event, a networking event. And ever since then, I've been following you on LinkedIn and seeing all the places where you are. And now you're with Freedom Mobility Solutions. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Yes, I've also been following you on LinkedIn and social media. You've had a great presence, so I've enjoyed following you. So yeah, so I'm a physical therapist, but I joined Freedom Mobility Solutions about almost a year ago now. And I act as a liaison, as an educator, for Freedom Mobility out in the community. So you want to know a little bit about what we do? Is that kind of what you just asked? Yeah. So we do a couple of different things. So one of the things that you mentioned that you were interested in speaking about tonight is home safety, accessibility, ways to make your home safer. So we do a lot of that with Freedom Mobility. So we can talk a little bit about that in a little more detail. We also do home care equipment and mobility equipment. So we have different categories that we do help with.
Awesome. So remember, Pull Up with Limbs and Things is to confirm something you know, to challenge something you don't know, and to give you the opportunity to share that information with someone else. If you have a question or comment, you can always put it in the chat and we'll respond to it. So let's talk a little bit about some of the benefits of going with Freedom Mobility Solutions for your device needs. What's different about Freedom Mobility Solutions?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that are different. One thing that sets us apart is that we really try to give people options. So as far as if they need something short term or they need something long term. So that's been something that we've been doing for a long time. We're known for. So when it comes to accessibility equipment, such as ramps or stair lifts, or mobility equipment, even transfer lifts, like we always offer a rental option, a rent to own option, and a purchase option. So not everyone, sometimes people just want to try things out before they purchase something. So we want people to be able to be informed in what they're purchasing. So we do a lot of education. That way they can rent it if they only need it for a few months. That's fine. Then we can take it back if they don't need it any longer, or that you've been working with them maybe and they've improved and no longer need that item. And sometimes people have conditions or they need things longer term. And so they can make that decision. So that's one thing that separates us. Another thing is that we're not an insurance provider. And I think that's really important to separate, that we're not going to be for everyone. So we tend to carry, for durable medical equipment, we tend to carry brands that are kind of better, best quality. So there's nothing wrong with insurance equipment. A lot of people really do need insurance equipment, but we tend to like to tell people or educate people on what else there is. For example, like with a hospital bed, insurance, you're pretty much going to get a pretty standard, hospital bed or a pretty standard wheelchair. So we have 6 different types of hospital beds. So it's more about educating you in what you might want. Sometimes it's aesthetics. Sometimes it's function. How low is my bed going to go? Is it going to go to the floor to prevent a fall at night? So some of it is very functional and some of it is, kind of what your preference is. So we like to present options for people in pretty much all of our categories that we help with. So just knowing that that's something that is a little bit different than your standard DME or medical supply store.
Mm-hmm. Those points are very important because there are times when they'll see someone on hospice care and people think that you can only go to hospice in order to get items that are returnable or things that you can rent. But you don't have to, and there's so many people getting off of hospice as well. So there are other options for devices outside of having to qualify for hospice.
Exactly. Yes. People. Yeah. At first, it's just going to Amazon or something too. So sometimes we're such an Amazon, Google, check things out.
Store.
Yeah, and that's another thing that separates, with Amazon, you're going to go and I'm going to want a hospital bed. Okay, well, it comes in a box. You got to put it together. What if it's, or even a wheelchair? What if it's not the right size? And then you have to figure out, being an older person that might not have as much support, how do you return it? Is it something with a motor? Is it a powered mobility device? Might be the cheapest price, but you're not really getting that the servicing aspect of somebody local. So we really try to be that local, so just kind of the easy button. You're going to get it, fully installed. You're going to get educated on how to use it. And if it's not working right, we can, you can rent it and you can figure out, if there's a better solution. So that's just something important to note.
Absolutely. And you said you're local, so tell us the areas that you service.
Sure. So we have been servicing the Central Maryland region for about 15 years now. Mm-hmm. So and then we've expanded to the DC region and as well as Northern Virginia. So we have 2 storefront locations, so showrooms. Actually, they're 3,000 square foot showrooms, one in Hanover and one in Ashburn, Virginia. It just opened a few weeks ago. Okay. And the showrooms are a great place for people to come or their family members to trial equipment. So we want people to be able to, really see what we have and get in the beds, transfer in them. If you need to look at a transfer device, we want people to look and try a sit-to-stand or a reclining lift chair. So really making sure that, they're making a good investment and really understanding their purchase so they feel good about it.
Absolutely. That's important. There are a lot of times we order things and then I'm coming in to put it together. So it definitely helps to have a company who will do a full service in getting you the device, but also setting it up and making sure that you know how to use it.
Yes. That's right. And then also after too. I mean, it's not just like here is your item and good luck, right. And if it wasn't for, you're a great lifeline, I'm sure, for all of your patients. Like you said, you're putting things together. I mean, PTs tend to go, not just PTs, but I know in our profession, we tend to really get attached and go above and beyond and do those things. But also it does help on the back end too, is that support, like, oh, I forgot to do this. And we have videos, we have lots of things. We register warranties for people on their behalf. We include some of the servicing in our price if it's needed. And we're also there to help for any servicing down the road because we're the ones we're the ones talking with the vendors. We have relationships with the vendors. So we make it very easy. It's in order to get any servicing that would be necessary or replacement parts.
Awesome. Because that's important. These devices don't last forever. We definitely need to have a method of getting them serviced if necessary. So I know you talked about insurance not being something that you take, but do you offer anything outside of that?
Outside of insurance? Mm-hmm. So currently we do not. Currently we are more of that private pay sort of boutique, type of company. But there are times though that we'll refer people to other partners in the community if it's something that we aren't the right fit for. Someone that does have more insurance-based equipment, or someone who maybe takes like a Medicaid waiver for certain things. So we try to be a good resource if we're not the right fit for people to get what we have. We want to be able to point them in the right direction so they do have a resource. There are a lot of items we cover that just don't even have a code for insurance. I mean, I'm sure that you've seen a sit-to-stand before. Yeah. I mean, there's no code to bill that even for insurance. Mm-hmm. So So some of it, there just isn't an avenue to do that with a lot of what we have. So for instance, that sit to stand, it's not offered by insurance, but we do offer it as a rental or a rent to own. So, for $175 for a whole month, you can have that and work with your patient with it. So in the absence of not having, the insurance, we do offer, again, that short-term renting also helps, space out the payments for those that might need it.
Absolutely. I know you had mentioned something about Medicaid. That's what I was trying to find out about. Okay.
Yeah. So currently, we do not assist with accessibility equipment for Medicaid. There are just, I think, a few places we can send people that might have if you already have a Medicaid waiver. But it is, difficult, as to get those things covered. So
they are, especially now. Let's talk about when someone should see you. Should it be when they need like a walker, or would it be best to see you if they are needing something a little bit more advanced, like a tilt and space chair or a one-arm drive wheelchair, something of that caliber?
Okay, so it could be either. I'm going to clarify just a little bit. So if someone's just needing a standard walker, something that they can get through Medicare, that's often a good place to start. Okay. But, sometimes when you're seeing them, they might, be appropriate for, a rollator. We tend to not do like straight walkers, but if someone's appropriate for a rollator, and they're wanting, maybe the one they got through Medicare is going to last the 5 years, or the brakes are getting, they're not working as well. And it's really hard to repair those items. That is a good time to say, hey, you might really want a nice rollator or a piece of mobility equipment, whether that's a wheelchair or scooter or a power chair, to come to us so that, they can get something that's maybe a little better quality, something that has a little more bells and whistles. So that's something they can come to. Like our rollators, we have 5-year warranties, and they're cable-free brakes. They even come with slow down attachments. So there are some different things that are really cool that we have too, and innovative. For instance, I'm sure you've heard of the U-step walker for Parkinson's.
Yes.
We can order that with whatever attachments, but this Evolution rollator that we have that has slow down brakes is sometimes a really nice stepping stone to that. So if someone just needs something a little more specialized, usually what happens is some therapists or yourself or people would call and say, hey, do you have something like this? And I suggest sometimes just a field trip to one of the showrooms if they can get there, because I love it when they can try them out.
Yeah.
This happens all the time. And they'll try out some of the nicer rollators. They'll try out like our wheelchairs, maybe our lightweight. We do a lot of lightweight wheelchairs. So let's just say a bariatric wheelchair that's 18 pounds to put in your car. So we know how heavy they can be, right? To get out to the doctor can be a challenge. So, we carry a brand that's 18 pounds for a family member to take them out to the doctor. So kind of those little outside the box things is kind of different types of mobility equipment is what, what I would, think of us for too, when you're talking about that type.
Awesome. Okay. So the process, if we wanted to connect with you, would be to do what?
Yeah, so I suggest reaching out to my email address if you have questions about, what we have. I also, we have an amazing, we just revamped our website, and it's incredibly educational, and it's very simple to use as far as what categories we help with, because we help with a fair amount, of things. So from our home safety accessibility, is one piece, hospital beds, mobility equipment. Check out the website. It even shows you if you know how to, a video tutorial on how to measure for a ramp and get a quote. I mean, there's so many different educational things there. Of course, we're always happy to help with that. But so I just suggest starting there. Specific questions, you can call our main line, which is at Freedom Mobility. I'm happy to answer any questions at Jamie B at freedommobilitysolutions.com, or you can call the main number and ask for me. And that way we can kind of talk it out a little bit. There's nothing more fun than like problem solving, right? I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's to see what is the right fit, and that brings me a lot of like having that consultation. We have very experienced inside sales team too, and we partner very closely, and we're all just very up to date on kind of what's out there to help.
That's good. That's really good. So, if you have questions, put your question in the chat. We'll answer it. And if you want to connect with Jamie or check out any of the devices or modification options that Freedom Mobility has, it's freedommobilitysolutions.com online. Or you can email her at jamie.b@freedommobilitysolutions.com. Well, Jamie, is there any final thought? Like, what would you say to someone who's trying to consider if they should use this more for residential or more for more of a company type service in terms of devices or modifications? Which would you say is more Freedom Mobility drive, for residential or for companies?
It's kind of for both. I would say, I know you do a lot of networking with senior providers who might be, and also consumers of yours and patients of yours. So, I mean, it could be for the consumer directly, and it also could be for, a senior provider just like wanting to know, like, oh, I didn't know Freedom Mobility existed and didn't know all that they did. So it really can be a little bit of both. I would say a take home for message for everyone is, is to really consider us. I'd say for a lot of our home accessibility line and the fact that we rent ramps and we're able to rent stair lifts and things, I think that really does make us unique, in that aspect, and to be able to provide that home safety piece for those that might need and want to age in place. But that also want to, check us out for other types of mobility equipment and home care equipment that might enhance their quality of life.
Absolutely. I think it's great that Freedom Mobility covers the DMV and that you can have access to this without the red tape of insurance, but also the different options where you can rent to own, or you can purchase it outright. There's so many instances where those options are not available. So definitely check out Freedom Mobility Solutions. Jamie, I thank you so much for joining. And if you all have any questions, of course, you can put them in the chat. Pull Up with Limbs and Things is to confirm something you know, challenge something you don't know, and to give you the opportunity to share it with someone else. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Dr. James. I really appreciate you having me on. Absolutely. I look forward to collaborating since we got a similar area. So
absolutely. I appreciate you, Jamie. Thank you.